Niall Gardner joins us right now. Of course, you remember Niall, great respect, the former advisor to Margaret Thatcher, the Heritage Foundation. All in all, very, very smart guy. Niall, it's very good to have you. And we're talking about the Queen, obviously, and you've said the significant role she has played at crucial times in your country's history, including that better than 10-year relationship with Euroboss, Maggie Thatcher. We hear different things back and forth about that she was leery of her, that was the Queen, Maggie Thatcher, when she first became prime minister, less so, dramatically less so, and in reverse as years went on. Can you explain that?
Well, Neil, thank you very much for having me on the show. And I have to say, an immensely heartbreaking day for the British people, but also for the free world as well. And Neil, you talked about the relationship between Margaret Thatcher and the Queen. And there has been a lot of speculation in recent years over that, not least due to the Netflix version of events through The Crown. But I have to say, Neil, that Margaret Thatcher and the Queen had a far stronger and closer relationship, I think, than is popularly portrayed by Hollywood or by Netflix. And I think that at the end of the day, Thatcher and Queen Elizabeth II were the two most powerful women in the world. They had an extraordinary partnership, also together with Ronald Reagan on the international stage. And I know the Queen had immense respect, actually, for Ronald Reagan, as did Margaret Thatcher. And so these three leaders, I think, played an absolutely pivotal role on the international stage in the 1980s. And the partnership between the Queen and Margaret Thatcher was far, far closer, I think, than many understand to be the case today. And Lady Thatcher, my former boss, had immense respect, of course, for the Queen. She cherished the monarchy. She thought the monarchy was absolutely vital for the future of Great Britain. And at the same time, I think the Queen greatly respected Margaret Thatcher, Britain's first woman prime minister. She was in office for 3 terms, a real conviction, principled politician. And I think the Queen's respect for the, for the Iron Lady was absolutely tremendous. And I know also, of course, Prince Philip greatly admired Margaret Thatcher. In fact, he was a huge admirer of Margaret Thatcher. And so, in every respect, I think the partnership between the Queen and Margaret Thatcher was incredibly close. They did have some disagreements over some issues, but the Queen never expressed those disagreements publicly. She didn't intervene in politics. She kept the monarchy separate from the political conflicts of the day, and I think that was the right approach. It's one of the reasons why the monarchy has been so incredibly successful. It is always kept out of politics, generally speaking.
Now, Charles has not avoided that kind of an issue, and
yes,
that was his moment. He was not a ruling figure. Of course, he was the heir in waiting, but he did weigh into some political issues. He did weigh into the Western world not doing enough to address climate change, even aboard architectural, what he called disasters with glass towers and all the rest. But he made his views quite well known. We know where he's coming from, and I'm just wondering, as king now, will he behave differently? Will he take any cues from his mother, who eschewed politics, left you guessing, avoided interviews of all sorts? What can we expect out of a King Charles III?
Yeah, those are great questions, great points as well. So Prince Charles, now King Charles III, actually intervened politically on a number of fronts as a prince. So, for example, on environmental issues, he recently actually criticised the British government over its immigration policy. The idea of sending illegal migrants to Rwanda was actually something that Prince Charles commented in a negative way, and he was strongly condemned and criticised actually by some leading conservative politicians for doing that. Now, it's very different, of course, for a prince to comment on politics as opposed to the monarch, the sovereign. And so the Queen never made these kinds of political comments. Prince Charles, now King Charles, I should say, has pledged not to make political interventions as the king. So I think he will be held to account on this front. And I expect actually Charles will keep out of politics because as the sovereign, you simply cannot do so and maintain the independence of the monarchy. And so I think the new king understands that very well. So I don't expect you're going to see interventions by King Charles III about Britain's immigration policies, for example, and that's a good thing. The king should not be intervening on these matters. This should be a matter left to politicians and the elected British government.
You know, Niall, I'm curious because I was following her very closely at the time of the financial meltdown in 2008 and traveling everywhere, including at Britain, where you know, their banking system was collapsing just like it was here and throughout Europe. And she was obviously a key player and a big backer of Britain's financial system and you know, a big proponent of the London Stock Exchange and making it the premier, or helping to support the publicity that made it the premier institution it remains today. But she did have many meetings, we're told, after the fact, because she was curious about what precipitated all of this in America, in Britain, with some of the finest minds, the Oxford-educated, Cambridge-educated, best financial thinkers on the planet, both in your wonderful country and ours, and across the globe, that botched it, that missed it. And she would keep asking about what happened, why, in just a few words. And it caught a lot of these financial titans off guard, because they didn't have any answer. Why did she do that? I mean, was it just as much her own curiosity, or that she, like regular Brits, like regular folks around the world who saw all of these fortunes melt away, was angry?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you know, the Queen actually, I think, was a very, very smart figure. She read very widely. She read a lot of books. She took a deep interest in current events, and so she was able to, you know, converse easily with, you know, 15 prime ministers, 14 U.S. presidents, and so she had a wealth of experience on the world stage that very few people actually had. And so the Queen was a highly intelligent leader, extremely well read, very well briefed, and she knew exactly what she was talking about, and she took a keen interest in financial matters as well, not least because the City of London, alongside Wall Street, New York, the heart of the world's financial beating heart. So the Queen, I think, was somebody who perhaps sometimes was underestimated, but somebody who, you know, had this extraordinary wealth of knowledge and experience, and she was very, very well read as well, just as Margaret Thatcher was. She always knew her brief, and she took a deep interest in the details, and she was able to, you know, have brilliant conversations with prime ministers, presidents, and world leaders, and in some cases completely outshine them in terms of her knowledge.
Yeah, and just her stepping back and asking a basic question. I'm going to probably get the quote wrong, so I'm just going to paraphrase it now, because you'd catch me in a New York second, because you know these quotes verbatim. But I think when she looked at what was behind that meltdown, not to belabor a very, you know, dull, deep in the financial weeds point, but they were trying to explain to her how these questionable securities were packaged by Wall Street and then sold to other investors. We were an American problem, a British problem, but she found out that a lot of British investors bought the same package of questionable securities. And I think she said something to the effect, well, how could you do something so stupid? And that really cut to the chase. Yeah,
exactly. I think as well, you know, with the Queen, I mean, she firmly expressed her views in meetings with world leaders, and she knew exactly what she was talking about. After all, you know, she ascended to the throne back in 1952 when Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister. So, you know, the scale of her knowledge of world events is absolutely unrivaled, I think. No one really compares to the Queen in terms of her breadth of knowledge of wisdom based upon you know, an understanding of world events going back 7 decades. What an incredible record of achievement and knowledge.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for not correcting me when I botched those quotes. But Niall Gardner, a real pleasure and an honor. I wish you and your nation well, my friend.
Thank you.